back to another episode of the Do You Remember podcast. My name is Adam Anwar and I am your host. And today I'm joined by stand-up comedian Righteous Lion.
Stand-up comedian, that's generous. Hey, how you doing, people? I'm Righteous Lion, aka slap your favourite comic in the face with a Scotch bonnet.
With a
How you
Scotch
doing, man?
bonnet, that is a very specific thing to slap someone with.
It's hot.
It is definitely
It'll,
hot. So
it'll
today,
burn you.
me and the Scotch bonnet comedian slapping Righteous Lion, we're going to be talking about Michael Jackson. So for those people who might not know, or from your perspective, can you give us a brief synopsis of who Michael Jackson was?
Michael Jackson was, God rest his soul, he was a major, major pop star in the 80s. Began in the late 60s. He was in a group called the Jackson 5, who became very popular. From there, he forged a solo career and was responsible for the popularization of certain dance moves. And he just enjoyed a multi-decade, multi-genre career of making music. And that is where we find ourselves today.
Good stuff, good stuff. So when was the first time that you remember hearing Michael Jackson's music?
Well, I'm an 80s kid, so Michael Jackson's music was always there, basically. The first time I Jackson, it must have been when Thriller came out. When the Thriller album came out, around about that time, I think. And it's weird. I can't really pin down the first time I heard it because by the time I was born, Michael Jackson was already in his imperial stage. It was the kind of thing where if you went to someone's house and they didn't have one Michael Jackson album in the house, you thought they were weird. So it's impossible to
Yeah.
really pin down, really. It was just omnipresent. It was always there, really. The
So
difficult
just as a
one.
frame of reference then, how old are you now?
Why are you asking me these questions? Like how old I am, man? You motherfucker. I think this is a big trap, this whole podcast.
It's
Invite
not, it's just to
Righteous
give
Lion to
people
answer.
an example of how old you would have been when Thriller came out.
I'm 37. I'm 37. I'm going to be
37,
30
there we go.
years.
So when Thriller came out, you would have been about five, something like that.
Oh, you motherfucker. When Thriller came out, I was born. I was a baby. I was
You was a
just
bit.
past the freaking embryo stage. Yeah, I was born the year the album came out.
Ah, there we go then. There we go. See, I'm
Yeah.
just terrible at maths, aren't I? I'm terrible at maths. But Thriller it really is an iconic
No, no,
album,
I
isn't
think you're
it?
just terrible. The compliments, that's all.
That is also true. I am terrible at compliments, especially when it comes to you. So, yeah, I'll take that one. But yeah, so I suppose that I'm in the exact same position you are. During my
Yeah,
life, I don't remember the first time I heard Michael Jackson either, because he's kind of like an ever present, isn't he?
yeah,
What was kind of
yeah,
like the
exactly.
reputation of Michael Jackson at the time? Because like he's quite a controversial figure now, and he kind of always has been during my lifetime. But I'm guessing in the '80s when you would have first come across
Well,
him, it wasn't as much.
during my time, I mean, we thought it was magic. I mean, my memory of Michael Jackson, one of the most pivotal parts of Michael Jackson's career, which you might be aware, is the first time he did the moonwalk on
Sure.
uh, on TV. That's what kind of blasted him off into the stratosphere that we know of him now. Um, but that, like I said, that was round about the time I was born, or maybe a little bit after it. So I don't remember that. So, yeah, I've got a track. What did you ask me again? Oh yeah, his stature. Yeah. So my earliest memory of Michael Jackson's stature is in between that and in between the album Bad coming out. So at that point, we just thought it was magic. We thought that because every time touched this, every time we went to the stage, everything stopped. Everybody stopped. All eyes was on him. Even if you were watching him on TV, people used to just call other people into the room to watch him on TV. You know, so it was just he was a non-magician to
And he was
to us.
and he was like must see TV, like you were saying, because it's not like these days. If you miss something on TV, it doesn't really matter. You can catch it on replay. You can
Oh,
DVR it, whatever. But in those days,
that's
you
the
couldn't really do that much. If he was on TV, you have to see it there, and then otherwise it's gone forever.
But that's the thing. That's one thing I want to explain to anyone who's listening to this, who's of only the like internet age generation. All we had was TV, just 4 channels. It was on then at that moment. If you missed it, you were fucked. You know, so you had to actually see at that time. If you missed it, there was no replay or catch up. You just had to wait till you heard someone talking about it and use your imagination. So you had to see it there and then. And I think
So
that's probably why it was so magic, maybe.
yeah, definitely. Because like I suppose when you've got readily access to everything, it's not as special. But when you have to catch it at the right time and you have to go out of your way to actually see a thing, it gives it
Mm.
kind of more like a rarity and more of importance, isn't it? Because if you miss it, it's like, oh no, I missed out, and everyone's talking about it maybe the next day in school or work, and then you really have missed out. Then if and you'd be behind the times. But what was kind of like the first memories that you have then of Michael Jackson? Because you said like you missed the moonwalk days when he first brought that out, and like people used to call each other into the room when he was on TV. But what are your other first memories of him?
My first memories of uh what probably just before the Bad album came out. That Who's Bad? Just before that came out. Um I think my first memory of him would have been I think someone brought a video around, and this is just going to show how old I am. A video cassette, yeah, Michael Jackson live somewhere. I can't remember where it was, but one of my earliest memories is just watching that, just being transfixed. I
Yeah.
can't remember what was going on around me at that time. I come from a family where they used to just plonk the kids in front of the TV, hope that they didn't move, and then they went off and did their adult things, washed up or cleaned or whatever it is that they were doing at that time. But at that particular moment, when they plonked me in front of the TV, putting Michael Jackson in the video recorder was the right move, because
Yeah.
I was just watching this motherfucker. It was amazing. You never seen anything like that before, especially not at that age.
And was there like a little righteous line in front of the TV trying to do the moonwalk and trying to copy his dance moves?
No, no. When you're a kid in the '80s and you see Michael Jackson for the first time, you don't try and do it. You don't even wonder if you can do it. You just kind of flabbergasted at the whole thing. You're like, wow, how was he doing that? How was he spinning like that and not throwing up at any point? You think these things when you see Michael Jackson. I didn't know people could walk backwards at that speed.
Yeah.
It's too much for a tiny mind to really comprehend, really. But you want to see more with it.
And what was the appeal for you in those early days then? Because you said like he was like magic when you used to see him on TV and he had all these dance moves and stuff like that. So what do you remember being like the appeal, the thing where you looked at him and you thought, I'm a fan of this guy. This guy's incredible. What was it about him?
Well, we liked his music because obviously his music appeal to kids, which I suppose may sound like a punchline in this day and age. But back then, I think it was everything. It was the I always thought the voice was weird. I always thought it was slightly effeminate, but at the same time, he had a real snazzy dress sense as well. He could wear anything and make it look cool, and his dance moves were just off the hook.
Yeah,
And
that's the
plus,
thing about sorry, that's
yeah,
the
go
thing
on.
about Michael Jackson and what he was wearing is quite often when you see someone and like they like your idol and you think they're really cool, you kind of feel like I want to dress like them. But Michael Jackson used to wear things that was kind of so unique to him that if you wear it, it's very clearly not a rip-off, but you're very clearly paying homage to him. Like I remember Eddie Murphy in that comedy special, he's wearing like the red leather jacket, isn't he? And it very much looks
Oh
like
yeah, yeah, yeah. Delirious, yeah.
yeah, and like that, Michael Jackson was so iconic in that sense. Is basically whatever he wore, that became a Michael Jackson thing. Like whether it was the glove or whether it was the hat or like the jackets, like we mentioned, or even like was it black shoes with white socks that he had and black pants? Everything
Yeah, that kind
that
of
he
shit.
did, he kind of made
Yeah.
it his own.
One of my cousins had that. Remember what he wore with Thriller? That red shit with the
Sure,
black.
yeah.
What would have thought that? One of my cousins had one of those. Um, I don't think it was actually leather or whatever the material was that Michael Jackson wore. But my cousin had like a something that was reminiscent of that. It was clearly supposed to be that.
Yeah.
It wasn't even a real thing, and I was jealous because I didn't have one.
That's what I was going to
I
ask. I
wanted
was
to
going to
walk
ask
around
if
looking like
like
Thriller.
I was going to ask if everyone would like take the piss or whether they'd all be really jealous of it.
No, at that stage, no, they'd have been jealous of it. It's stupid to think now, but yeah, people would have been well jealous of that shit.
Yeah, well, I
Definitely.
suppose anyone who's listening to this, you know what to get Righteous Lion for Christmas this year. A Thriller outfit, he'll be all over that.
Get me the glove, people. I've always wanted the glove, you know. So if you find the glove anywhere on eBay, just get me one of those, you know.
Yeah. So, what were some of your favourite Michael Jackson songs then?
Again, he's one of those guys, you know, Michael Jackson, Jimi Hendrix, Tupac. I don't really have a favorite song. I have certain songs that are in rotation. That's the way it's always been, really. There's just entire albums, really. I like the entire Thriller album. That's the one that I used to just rinse through as a kid as well. Um, I think they might have had like one or two songs that were clearly filler that I didn't quite gravitate to. But other than that, yeah, it was pretty much the whole albums, really.
Yeah,
But I think that Thriller album was really.
he is kind of that artist because nowadays, if an artist or a band they bring out an album, you can look at it on Wikipedia and like one of the songs might have a blue line where like Wikipedia have deemed it important enough to have an article about that song. But if you go onto any of Michael Jackson's albums, it's pretty much 80-90% all blue songs where they've all got their own article about it. So it shows kind of how important each song was.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. It's like each song's almost a standalone kind of thing as well, if that's what you're saying.
Sure, because they're just like such like huge hits. Because like if you think of songs like Thriller, Beat It, Billie Jean, you look at these songs that are like proper juggernaut songs, but they were all on not just on the same album. They were all like one after each other on Thriller, weren't they?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was just they were just like the Mike Tyson punches of songs, like just bang, 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 everyone just hitting, you know.
Yeah. How big was the whole like? Because I know like a lot of people say like Michael Jackson or Prince. So how big for you was that kind of rivalry of you've got to choose one? Are you a Prince man or are you a Michael Jackson fan or what was your opinion on that whole thing?
I didn't get into Prince until late, though. Until and when I say late, I mean like maybe about 10 years ago or something like that.
Right.
Um, I I didn't understand Prince as a kid. I liked some of his music, but it was just weird for me at that. I could understand Michael Jackson. He did his singing, he was dancing, he was this and all that. Prince was like this weird guy who had like some kind of art gesture message to get to the world that I wasn't in on. you know, especially as a kid as well. And don't forget, I don't know what people know of Prince today, but in the 80s, he was very sexually provocative. You
Sure.
know, I mean, this was still, don't forget, this was the 80s. This was still the days when he was walking around with the high heels and the arse out, cut out of his pants, and the vest that only came up to his belly buttons. And he was walking around doing that shit. And I couldn't really tell how I was supposed to take him at like 7 years old and shit. So, I was definitely more of a Michael Jackson Prince dude at that time.
Yeah, because I mean, both of them were like real pioneers, weren't they? Like Michael Jackson
Yeah.
was a real pioneer when it comes to pop, and like people call him the king of pop, don't they? And obviously
Mhm.
Prince was definitely a pioneer when it came to that provocative style of like wearing crop tops, vest, like you said, and like pants with the asses cut out and stuff like that. No, it's interesting how people at the time made that right. I think everyone likes to make a rivalry, don't they? It kind of makes them both seem a bit more important, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, they're both black dudes. They're both light-skinned black dudes, similar hairstyles, singers, dancers, and they had a certain amount of gravitas um, in the industry. So I suppose when you've got that many similarities, oh, I think they were both born like the same year as well, all that kind of shit. So when you've got that many similarities, people will tend to push you together and then try and pull you apart in the name of sensationalism. It does happen.
Yeah, I guess so. So we're talking now. We're talking like late 80s Manchester, aren't we? So what else is going on for you at the time? Michael Jackson is huge, obviously. So what else for
Yeah.
you, late 80s Manchester, is on your radar?
Um, there's there's an emergence of different. Around about 1989, there was like the emergence of the Manchester scene as well. I remember that.
Yeah,
That
definitely.
was I was definitely stuck into Michael Jackson, but I'll be a bit remiss if I didn't say that I recognised that going on as well, especially in my hometown. So you had that James, that oh sit down, oh sit, that guy. He
Yeah, yeah,
he was
sure.
um
I went to see James like 2 years ago.
oh yeah, oh is he still are they still doing their thing?
Yeah, they brought like an album out like just before it, and it was quite politically charged. It like took jibes at Donald Trump, and like there's lyrics about like there's only one race, it's the human race, everyone belongs here, and all that kind of stuff. It was quite a right on album actually. It was quite I enjoyed it.
Mm. Right, okay, last thing I know about James was I think it was about 97. I think they brought an album out round about then, 96, 97. But that's the last I heard of them. That's really all I know about them. So what I was told.
So obviously James were on your radar then. So okay, outside of music then, what else is on a radar for a young righteous lion? TV shows, movies. What else is going on for that young boy?
Um, this is going to sound weird, but porn was on my radar at that age as well.
When you was
Um,
8 or 9.
yes, of course. Here's the thing: it wasn't a sexual thing though, like it is now. It was more like, is is is, is this what adults are into? It's weird and funny, but I don't know if I get it. It's kind of like the same kind of dynamic as I had with Prince, really. Just didn't understand it. It was slightly pornographic for me to really gravitate to.
So Prince, I suppose Prince and porn are both on that same level for you. Is the older you got, the more of an appreciation you got for both.
Definitely. I'm a big fan of porn now. I've got all their artwork, everything they've ever released. If they ever do a concert nearby, I'll definitely grab a ticket for that.
So how does an 8 or 9 year old boy stumble upon it?
Um, Video
80s
cassettes.
Manchester.
It is Manchester. Video cassettes are very difficult to store, it turns out, and very difficult to store securely. So sometimes people think they've put all the videos away and then they left one out or one hanging out somewhere. And I was an only child, and there weren't too many of the grandkids. I was left alone, like in rooms with TVs on. I was just kind of left to my own devices, and then there's videos scattered around and one random video somewhere. I think I'll pop this in, press play hard because that's what you had to do with certain video cassette players back then, and that's what came up on the TV, and it was funny. I think when you're a kid, you you forget how funny porn can be as an adult because it's there to serve a purpose. But when you're a kid and you see like the acting and the way things transpire in porn movies when you're a kid, it's just hilarious. It's just daft, and I think
And
that's what gravitated
who,
me towards it.
who did it belong to?
I can't. I was in one of my uncle's houses. I'll just say that.
Right,
Um,
okay.
so I'm not going to say who or which one, or I'm not even going to insinuate that it belonged to him. But it was there, and I watched it. So that's all I'll say.
I can't, I can't imagine that because obviously now any kid can just go online and lie and say that he's 18 and click through those buttons and stuff like that. So I would get it
Hmm.
now.
Hmm.
Even like when I was about 8 or 9, the internet was becoming a thing and like magazines in bushes and One time, my mate found a duffel bag full of tapes.
Magazines in bushes.
It's legit, though, isn't it? Magazines
So
in bushes. That's the thing, isn't it?
I don't know, but I don't know. Bolton's very primitive. I don't know. But magazines in bushes. I don't know.
Oh man, all the time. Honestly, when I was a kid, I don't know who was storing them there, but you would always find pornographic magazines in bushes as a kid. Honestly,
Do you know what that is? That's a bunch of people who don't want to get caught, who panicked. That's what that is. That's what I think
yeah,
that
it
is.
is. It is.
That's like, Brian, what? Nothing. And then
Yeah,
there goes
chuck
the.
it out the window and it ends up in the bush.
But you know what? I don't understand. That, it's funny you mentioned that. I don't understand how kids are getting caught wanking these days with internet porn and shit like that. Because I still hear about kids getting caught wanking. Everyone always got a story about how they got caught with the laptop in front of them. But when you think about it, having that like magazine, that was a lot of work. You know, you had to.
Oh yeah, sure. There's no
Yes,
private browser on a magazine. You can't just like hide
that's what I'm saying.
what you're looking at.
Yeah, yeah, you had to actually go out and buy the shit and get it in one of those brown paper bags because you don't want a clear bag. And you've got to go to a room, find somewhere that no one's going to bother you for about 10 or 20 minutes. Find the page that you want because there'll be 60 pages and it's not always going to be like top material in there. Some of them are going to be looking kind of rough unless you're into that. So you got to find a page with the woman on it that you want. Then you've got to get your dick ready. Then you've got to actually do what you're doing. Then you've got to find,
It's
you've
like
got
a
to hide. Yeah,
military process, isn't it?
it is. You have to be so methodical about ranking when you've got a magazine. And these kids, and after that, then you've got to kind of zip up your pants and go downstairs and act like you were just doing something.
Act normal, yeah.
Yeah, hoping that they
Okay,
don't clock that your face is letting you out of breath, and yet people are getting caught. People can't even press delete on the freaking search history. Bullshit.
so to bring it back to Michael Jackson, then we've took a weird route around it, but I think we've got back to Michael Jackson here. Speaking of people possibly getting caught doing things he might not be doing, allegedly, all that stuff. Where did you fall on all this? Because obviously Michael Jackson had this tremendous legacy previously of the king of pop, absolutely untouchable. And then as the years go by, a little bit more dirt's been thrown on his name, a little bit more, to the point where I mean, I'll be honest with you. I don't know what to think. I don't lean strongly one way or the other. But what do you
Mm.
think of the whole thing about his legacy and being tarnished and all that?
Um, First of all, I just want to say, from porn to Michael Jackson, brilliant segue. By the way, I could not put that together myself. Uh,
Cheers, man.
um, to, it was always magic, but it was always weird as well. Not Prince weird, but weird enough. Like we had the stories when I was a kid about him being in like sleeping in oxygen chambers and buying weird art and you know buying a pet chimpanzee called Bubbles, which obviously turned out to be true. Um, so th- it was this magical entity, but it was also this recluse as well, very reclusive guy, and all these tabloid stories about him. So he was just like beyond human. So and he stayed like that for years. So then years later, when these allegations came out, I was like, I was torn quite bad. The fan in me did was like, the guy done that. And then there's the guy who grew up with all the stories as well, and that part of me was like, well, you don't know, do you? Really? So in short, had he turned out to have done it, I wouldn't have been surprised. If he turned out to be innocent, I wouldn't have been surprised. It's one of those kind.
Yeah, he's a really weird figure in that aspect because, like, you can make a strong case either way, and I could believe you. I could believe you either way. You can make a strong case to say that he did it, like the Neverland documentary. Did you watch that?
I did watch that, yeah, yeah.
And what did you think of that?
Um, I, I always look on these kind of things with a degree of cynicism, because it's so saturated and everyone's getting kicked in the ass for something. that they did like a few years ago. Sometimes it feels like it's just a season to kick people in the ass for things that may or may not have happened in the past. So I didn't watch it trying. I think a lot of people are watching it trying to be either swayed either way to an opinion. Like some people will watch it trying to figure out if he did it or not. I think other people
Yeah.
who already believe he did it will watch it hoping for their suspicions and opinions to be validated by this thing. I was just watching it just to see what he had to say, really. I wasn't looking at him like he was a liar or that he was telling the truth. I was just watching it thinking, okay, let's see what this American Australian kid has to say. And that was it, really. Some of it was weird, though. Some of it I can't really imagine. See, this is where I'm torn now. I've got my thoughts, feelings, and opinions on Michael Jackson that have been fully formed since I was a kid because he was always around,
Mm-hmm.
in our lexicon. So you've got this guy who's magic and weird and who you've emulated at certain points, and then years later you've got this guy on camera saying that he got his dick out and tried to force it in his ass, and he told him to stop, and he stopped. It was just weird. You know?
Yeah,
Spoiler alert, by the way.
yeah, I remember when I watched it that like I like to believe everyone. I like to believe whatever everyone's saying. I don't like to be cynical. I like to believe them. But obviously, you can't just believe people willy-nilly. So you have to be a bit more neutral, don't you? And like,
Mm.
I remember watching it thinking like, he seems believable. He seems believable. Whether he is or not, that's a different story. But I thought he seemed believable. Whether I'm going to write Michael Jackson off completely, I really don't know. I can't. I don't know. I'm not a judge. I'm not a court. But like, yeah, he made a good enough point to make me believe it was real. But I suppose
Right.
Michael Jackson fans, all like the real hardcores, the mega hardcores who don't see anything wrong with him ever, they can
All the
make a good,
weirdos, yeah.
yeah, they can make a good argument to say no, Michael Jackson never had a childhood. He just was friendly with these kids, but he didn't do anything untoward. So, like, I don't know. I kind of lean more towards the other way that he probably did do something. But yeah, it is a real weird one, especially when it's someone who has such a strong cachet in popular culture like Michael Jackson.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
I mean, it
you
must be
know, you
weird for
know,
you, especially like because you were such a big fan when you were talking about doing a podcast. You were like Michael Jackson. I want to talk about Michael Jackson. So obviously you must be a big enough fan, and I would hate it in like let's say 10 years if like one of my heroes, someone who I looked up to as a child, had all these credible stories coming out about them because even if they weren't true, they seem pretty credible. You're like, oh, I don't know how to feel anymore, but it's that whole thing. Can you separate the artist from the art? If they've done something really terrible, like if Hitler painted some really nice paintings, could you still appreciate them? I don't know.
yeah, yeah. I can definitely. I mean, I've still got a couple of R. Kelly songs on my MP3 player.
Right.
I've got like, in fact, I've got like three or four of them on there. So I can easily separate the art from the man. I can do that with politicians as well. Anyone who's done something with their work that resonates with me or that I can relate to or that I can respect. I can respect it on its own merits, in its own lane. And then you've got the man where, it's. But let me put it this way: have you ever agreed with a statement from a person who you hate, like in life, just in general? Like
Yeah,
that one
sure,
time he
sure.
said something that makes sense, and you're like, you know what? I don't really like this guy as a prick, but that thing that he said there, it makes sense. You can't really like it. That's my kind of thing. That's how I approach the separation of art versus the person. And I do that with Michael Jackson, I do it with R. Kelly, I do it with Bill Cosby, I do it with Jim Davidson. That it's one of those things. You can separate the art from the person. It's fairly easy to do.
See, that's interesting because I think a lot of people have like a mental blocker where they just can't overcome it. Whether it's a
Mhm.
stubbornness or something like that, I don't know. But I think a lot of people do have. I mean, I think I really do have that thing where I cannot separate. I can to an extent, but I can't really separate the artist from the art sometimes, and sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. But yeah, for the most part, I do struggle with that. But it's very, very interesting to hear the complete opposite side of that. You being able to say that you can completely separate them, and like you'd be happy to listen to his music still, whilst being happy to kind of write him off and say he's done these things. I can't accept him as a person, but as a musician, he was still talented.
Well, yeah, yeah, that's the thing. I mean, the way I see it, if you listen to someone's music, you listen to it before you know what kind of a person they are anyway.
True, true.
So now that you know what kind of person they are, should that really run into your opinion of their work, like watercolors? You know?
Yeah, I suppose a lot of the time is because you hear it before you know that truth about them. Your enjoyment of that music is tied into a feeling before you knew that, so it's tied into a happier thought
Yeah.
process. Whereas I
Hmm.
suppose if he came out now, after we already knew all this stuff, and he released the same songs, we probably wouldn't maybe. I mean, I probably wouldn't, definitely not be able to accept them at that point, if that makes sense.
Also, it's like a time thing. I don't know, because sometimes I'll hear, like for example, I'm not a big Justin Bieber fan. Justin Bieber can kiss my ass, really, from what I've heard about him. But if
That is a
I'll
very
hear a
strange
song,
sexual request.
get at me, Justin Bieber. I'm playing. um, but yeah, like I'm not a big Justin Bieber guy, but I'll hear a song and I'll be like, hey, this song's all right. And then it'll turn out to be Justin Bieber or Justin Bieber's featured in it somewhere.
Sure.
And what do you do then? Do you just stop nodding your head to the beat because Justin Bieber's in it? You already like the shit. Just go with it. You know. I mean, although I have to say though, R. Kelly's case, it kind of plays a little bit differently. Um, a lot of the reason being is a lot of R. Kelly songs are about male female relationships. A lot of them are
Yeah.
about sex and whatnot.
Age ain't nothing but a
And
number and all that stuff.
that's what I'm saying. So a lot of I get the impression that a lot of the songs that because he writes his own songs, obviously, a lot of the songs that he's writing come from his perspective or his experience. So there's some songs that I can't really separate from the allegations.
My mind's telling me no, but
That's what I'm.
my body's telling me yeah. That is one that you, after all this came out, you're like, oh no, it reads a completely different way now, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah. But there's some songs where that are sexual that you can kind of that I can separate, like Ignition. It doesn't that just pertains to a man having a good time in some kind of club
Yeah, true.
environment and possibly taking a woman home. So I can still listen to that, but I can't listen to any of that bump and grind shit. I can't really listen to anything he did before Ignition in that sense.
Yeah.
Because a lot of his songs back then were sexual. Yeah, it's about just basically being out somewhere and enjoying yourself and then possibly taking the chick back to the hotel, which is it's just general, really, isn't it? It's just standard. So
Yeah,
I
and
can
anyone
still
can
listen
kind of
to that.
relate to that, and that one doesn't feel as much like the whole like oh you're young and I'm older, like that kind of whole dynamic that a lot of the other songs you can kind of start to read it as now, can't you?
Mm, mm. And that's the thing about Michael Jackson as well. I don't, from what I know of his songs, he's never actually done a song where you kind of thinking, is he talking about a child here? I mean, I suppose the
Yeah,
most hardcore Michael Jackson haters could force any connection together.
yeah,
I suppose. But generally speaking, there isn't any of that in his songs. Neither. All through his like 30, 40 year, 50 year career, however long it's been, you don't hear any of that in his songs. So I can kind of still listen to his shit.
yeah. It's a really complex one, isn't it? Especially with Michael Jackson, especially because as well he started off as a child star, so obviously at the time he couldn't possibly hold those kind of same feelings as you might think that he did later on in his career, because the age thing was completely different. You can't be a paedophile if you're only 10 years old.
Mhm.
So there's all those songs of the Jackson Five that I suppose you can read them completely differently. And that's the time when he was going through like a really tough time, wasn't he?
Definitely, definitely. When he was a kid as well. So yeah, you have to look at it with context as well. Even R. Kelly, you have to look at with context, really. And I mean, as much as I'm saying that about R. Kelly, you still have to kind of think what was the song about, rather than making a connection that may or may not be true. Um, but yeah, Michael Jackson being the age he is and being through what he says he's been through at that age, yeah, you have to give it a degree of context.
Yeah, and some things like you were saying before, if you really want to dig into a song, you can make links if you really look for them. But some of them, like the R. Kelly ones we mentioned before, they just jump off the page at you. You don't need to go looking for those ones. Those ones come looking
Mhm.
for you in these instances, don't they?
Well, yeah, that's it. It's like goes back to what I was saying before about those the people who hate Michael Jackson watching that Leaving Neverland documentary. A lot of the people would be watching that already with their you know they've got their end of the rope out, and they're hoping that this documentary will reach out and meet the other end of their rope, so it makes one long continuum. And I think that tends to be the case with a lot of people in a lot of situations.
Sure. So just diving back into Michael Jackson, then let's go through Thriller, the album, because
Yeah,
that's one of his most iconic albums that he did. And
yeah.
you're gonna have to lead the way on this one because a lot of these songs. Oh, actually, I know most of these songs, but some of them I'm a bit more sketchy on. So for starting off, "Wanna Be Starting Something." What do you remember about
Yeah.
this track?
I remember, you know what? Recently, I've been told there's a video for that, but I've never seen it. It always pisses me off when a video for a song apparently exists, and then you never know its existence for years.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's the first track on the album as well, and that's a crazy way to start an album. Just straight in there, straight the fuck in there with a bomb track like that. And I remember the first time. Well, I don't actually remember the first time I put the album on, but the early days of putting the album on, because we had the vinyl. You know, we had to put like the needle on the spinning shit, and you had to wait a few
Nice.
seconds for it to actually kick in. It gave it a sense of ceremony as well. So that that song's always got a good place.
Sure, and I suppose like playing a vinyl in those days, it was definitely more of an experience because you have to go through this whole process of handling it very delicately, putting it on, putting the
Mm-hmm.
needle in the right place, watching it as the needle spins around and like gets close to the those days, man. I mean,
Yeah,
I didn't really live through
yeah,
them as much. I was very young when my brother was doing that, but yeah, it kind of connects you more to the music, doesn't it?
yeah. You have to treat the instrument itself like a lady. You know, it's not like I mean, even a CD, you have to kind of make sure you don't scratch it.
Sure.
But vinyls definitely, and they were big and bulky, and they took up space. So a lot of people were very like very selective about which vinyls took up space in their house.
Yeah, man. So, what about the next track then? "Baby Be Mine."
I didn't really like that track. See, remember before when I was talking about the fillers?
Some fillers, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't not like it. It was just like, I can skip past that. I was so
Yeah.
glad when I got that album on CD because I just got to skip past.
Yeah. Right, next track. "The Girl Is Mine" featuring Paul McCartney.
We're not going to fight about this, Michael. Yeah. I'm a lover, not a fighter. That that song always made me laugh just for the talking bit in the middle. Man, any old school track where there's got random talking in the middle just makes me laugh. It was cheesy to me even then, you know. And then years later, Boyz II Men came out and started doing it. And I thought, what the fuck are you guys doing? But yeah, that song always made me laugh. I thought it was cool that Paul McCartney was on the track.
Yeah, that's
I
a
didn't know.
huge collaboration. Like, even if you did not living through it at the time, which you would have been even bigger at the time, but even looking back now, two of the mega stars of music of all time, Paul McCartney and Michael Jackson, coming together and doing a song together,
Mhm.
that's huge.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I assume this happened before Michael Jackson fucked around and bought the entire Beatles catalog. Um,
Yeah, I imagine that would have caused a lot more friction.
oh yeah, Paul was pissed off about that. Paul
Maybe
McCartney
did
was
it like maybe that's
way
how he did
pissed
it.
off.
He was like, "Hey Paul, why don't you come in and we're going to record a song together?" "Oh, I can't, Michael. I've got to go sign these documents so I have all the rights to my music." "No, no, no. Seriously, come over." As he's on the way to the studio, Michael Jackson goes and buys them.
I think I think that's pretty much how it happened. So from stories that I've heard, I don't know if it's true, but yeah, apparently it was round about that time, the girl is mine time, when he actually bought the Beatles catalog.
Christ, and he just absolutely sniped it from him. Right, next up, the title track, Thriller. It's got that absolutely classic music video where it looks like a zombie film. It's basically a masterpiece. That music video. It is a piece of art itself. That can go in any
Mm-hmm.
museum in the world. That music video, and the song
Yeah, anyhow,
itself, catchy stuff. So, Lion, talk us through it. What are your memories of this track?
um, my memories are more of the video than the track. I always preferred the video over the track. It seemed like one of those songs where the song serves the video rather than the other way around, kind of thing. I think without the video, it would be possibly just like a novelty track.
Do you
If
know
Michael
what?
Jackson, if Michael
I've,
Jackson didn't do it and you just heard that song and you didn't know it was Michael Jackson and there was no video to it at the minute, I think that's a novelty track, a Halloween novelty track
I've
there.
I've never thought that before, but now you say it, that makes complete sense, and I'm completely on board with you because that music video is like a 10 out of a 10. The song itself is decent, but it's really dragged up by the memory and the connection to the video, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, that's right. And I've always felt that as well. I, that's like another Baby Be Mine kind of thing where it's not the filler because it is the title track and it is a decent track, but I think the video's worth more than the song. You might
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, to be fair, with the strength of that video, regardless of what they could put any song on there, that video is so strong. It's always going to be better than whatever your song you put with it, isn't it?
hmm That's
Next
right.
up, then, Beat It. Much parodied song through the years. I think Weird Al Yankovic did a parody.
Weird,
Maybe I think
weird
it's
out.
called Eat It and stuff like that. But what do you remember about Beat It?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I love that song. See, that's one where the song and the video were on equal measure. They were on an equal footing. Yeah. I did like that song. And I think it was weird. It's the first time I've heard Michael Jackson in like a almost like a slightly rock kind of vibe, but it didn't sound odd. Some guys can sound odd on different types of music,
Yeah,
but this album, this Thriller album, I think was Michael Jackson asserting his position that he can just genre hop all he wants and still be who he is. So I did like that track. Still do.
definitely,
And
because
the
this
thing
song
is,
really has an attitude about it, doesn't it? And like Michael Jackson, who's quite often a lot softer and stuff like that. We've just seen in the track before in Thriller, he makes it into like a horror film, and then in this one, it's got more of an attitude to it. But still, it doesn't seem like Michael Jackson's betraying himself. It seems like he's being true to himself. And like you said, he can
yeah,
genre hop and absolutely adapt perfectly. And I think that like this album's a great example of it.
yeah. And in the video as well, he had actual gangsters in that video, which is nuts. I don't think anyone's actually
Does
done that
he?
since. Yeah. Here's the thing: what people don't understand about gangsters in the '80s. The '80s were a different time. Gangsters used to dance. Gangsters used to break dance.
Right.
Um, and Michael Jackson used to just he'll just have like actual like Bloods and Crips, and they'll all behave themselves, man. you know, and yeah, actual gangsters in his videos, man, and
I
in a
never
few
knew
other
that.
videos as well. Yeah, real life gangsters in his shit,
Wow.
and
Right.
they all loved him.
Well, I think everyone did at
Yeah,
the
man.
time, didn't they?
Yeah, 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 of course.
Right, next up, we've got my favourite track on the album. We got Billie Jean, and I used to love the video for this as well when he's walking and like all the floor starts to light up and all that stuff. So, what do you remember about this track, Billie Jean?
I want some of them lights still to this day. I've always dreamed of getting really rich, rich to the point where you can afford one of them MTV cribs kind of cribs, and you can just you can just pimp your house like you ride,
Yeah,
just make modifications to your house. And shit. I've always wanted one of them Billie Jean lights from my bedroom to the bathroom because you still got to be practical, and just have one like on the late night when it's dark and you just wake up in like 3 o'clock in the morning. I need to take a piss, and then you just barefoot just walk out to the bathroom and the floor lights up so you don't trip up over anything. Yeah, I've always wanted one of those. I still want one of them. If you ever seen them on eBay, just let me know.
so
Um,
so far
but
we've got the jacket, the glove, and the floor tiles, the light up floor tiles from Michael Jackson.
he was a bad motherfucker. What can I say? Um, but yeah, the song itself though, I never knew about the video and never knew about the iconic first ever moonwalk thing, and I still like that song as well. I didn't actually see the video until it was years later when I saw the video, and then I realized why it was so iconic.
Yeah, man, definitely is definitely. And I think it's just one of those tracks that I think a lot of people still love, even though like a lot of people have kind of written Michael Jackson off. Next up, though, we had Human Nature. Now, this track, I remember the first time I heard this track, Tupac had like done not ripped it off, but he basically sampled it in one of his songs, and that was the first time I heard it, and I absolutely loved that Tupac song as well. And like then when I heard it was a Michael Jackson song afterwards, I was like, it makes sense. That's why all the music in the background was so good. What do you remember about this one?
Human nature. Wow. It was, meh, I liked it. It was a bit long. I had to be in the mood for it, to be honest. Sometimes I'll listen to it, other times I'll just like slide past it. Um, it was it was a nice song. It was a little too mellow for me at that age, though. I didn't really start liking it majorly until like maybe the teenage years or something. Um, and plus as well, I was the kind of kid who back in the day, I don't know if you might know this, but the vinyls used to have like sometimes the lyrics inside the sleeve.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, yeah, you remember that? And I was one of those idiots who used to like read up on the producers and the fucking engineers and shit, and also the lyrics. And I'd read the lyrics, and the lyrics didn't make sense to me, so I didn't like it for that
Right,
reason.
okay.
Sometimes I could kind of figure it out through context because it was kind of smartish when it comes to things like that. But I didn't know what the fuck he was talking about. So I like the song, but the lyrics put me off.
No, to be honest with you, that's a good as reason as any. Because even to this day, like I'm more of a lyrics person than anything else. Like I've done like a couple of these podcasts now talking about a couple of different bands, and I've always said like I don't know anything about the drums, the guitars, and nothing like that. I don't know anything like that. What I do know about
Mm.
is the lyrics, even like the singing and stuff like that. I can take it or leave it. For me, it's all about the lyrics, and that's the only thing that really gets through to me. So I can completely understand that if the lyrics weren't hitting home for you, that you weren't gonna like it. But okay, next up, the penultimate track on the album, PYT, Pretty Young Thing.
Uh, uh, yeah, yeah. I mean, there are only 9 tracks on the album in total, so um, I so I couldn't really afford to just pick and choose the album back then, the songs. I mean, back then, um, that was another one that I had to kind of be in the mood for. I think I I liked it. Looking back now, it's a really ridiculously 80s sounding track. I think that's what it is. Some of the songs sounded borderline futuristic, like they'll be timeless, and then other ones
Yeah.
sounded like they, they were just 80s, and PYT was just an 80s song. So I liked it, but I had to be in a mood for it if I was going to listen to it or not.
Yeah, I
And
think it kind of suffers in comparison to some of the other songs that do feel a bit more timeless, whereas these do seem a bit more dated and a bit more rooted in the 80s, don't they? You're right.
yeah, and one Michael Jackson had a habit of doing like really long instrumental parts where there'll be like a long middle instrumental section where we'll either clap or snap his fingers and just do like a repetitive kind of fucking chorus thing.
Yeah.
Like most songs on that album do that. And if the song's too long, it gets on my nerves. Wanna Be Starting
Yeah,
Something did that same mama saying caca what the fuck it is. You know what I'm talking about. He does
definitely.
that then, but I liked it when he did that then because the song was popping. You know what I mean? I think by the time we get to the PYTs, I just want to get through the album now. You know, from that point.
That's fair enough. And how about the final song then? The Lady in My Life. Is this another one of the filler tracks for you?
It's not a filler track. I do like it sounds like I'm talking negatively on these tracks, despite holding the album in high esteem. I do hold the album in high esteem. Um, but some songs I do like better than others, and some songs I do have to be in the mood for. Lady in My Life, that is a very somber way to end an album called Thriller. You know, I did like it, but like in a certain setting, and I don't know if when being a kid listening to that song, I was like, it sounds like the kind of song you listen to with a woman, but I'm 7 years old and no one finds me attractive yet when I'm gonna get to listen to this song, you know?
Yeah.
So uh I kind of I flipped a coin with that song, basically. But the songs that I did listen to unequivocally and uncategorically on that album, um, they're worth all the fillers, to be honest. They're definitely worth it. They're worth their weight in gold. The tracks that
Yeah,
I do
the
like.
strong songs are so strong that it does carry some of the weaker songs that might be a bit more hit and miss. That's a fair enough assessment, I think.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, just the strength of like Beat It and Billie Jean alone, one of my started some just those three tracks. That's that kind of set the album off really, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, definitely.
And
And
yeah, and the album cover as well. I still want one of them suits. I don't know if you've seen. Have you got the album in front of you by any chance? Are you reading this off a
it's the
list?
white one, isn't it? The white suit.
Yeah, yeah. I want that suit, and I want that baby frigging lion cub thing that he's got as well. He's holding the lion cub. Have you seen
Tiger
that part of
King.
the picture? Yeah, yeah. He's holding that. I want one. I want the little tiny freaking tiger cub, man.
Yeah.
That's
I
gangster.
think I have
That's
seen
one
that
thing people
one.
don't get. Yeah.
Was that a
So
part
go
of the
ahead.
in? It was part of the in sleeve, wasn't it? The tiger thing. It's not on the main album cover, I don't think.
No, it's the inside. It's the part where you fold it open, and it's like the whole picture. And yeah, he's got like a tiger cub there. Michael Jackson's more gangster than people give him credit for, man. I mean, he actually rode with gangsters on his video. He's holding tiger cubs which kill people. You know,
He was going
yo,
to court, getting away with crimes, allegedly.
dude. Well, exactly. Dude was gangster. Dude was fucking gangster. You never take
So,
that away from me.
what do you think about his like how he's represented then in media nowadays? I don't know if you've seen the South Park episode, but there's a South Park episode where Michael Jackson moves to the town. Have you seen that?
I don't know. Not possibly. I might have done. I only
So
watched a few of them.
basically, what's happening in the episode is the cops deframing all the rich black people, basically. And if there's anyone who's rich and
Mm,
they're black, they're gonna frame them for a crime. And then the year that
mm.
Michael Jackson's moved to town, and they sprinkle like girls' pubes on his like toilet seat and stuff like that, and they frame him for loads of stuff. And then Michael Jackson turns up at the house, and they see him and they see his face, and they're like, "Oh my God, he's white! We almost made a huge mistake. We almost framed an innocent white man." And it's like,
Yeah,
it's just such a great joke, and like how, yeah, a lot of the times the police will do anything to kind of throw shade on the name of of like a rich black celebrity, but when it came to Michael Jackson, he managed to get off.
Mm, mm. I
Do you
mean,
remember, go on.
so go on. You're gonna ask a question.
I was going to say, do you remember Bo Selector, the way he was portrayed in that as well?
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Bullshit. Yeah, yeah.
And he's like
Was,
walking
was it?
around
Was
with,
he?
go
Was
on.
he from your neck of the woods? Because he sounded like it.
I think he's from Yorkshire, you know, that guy. He's the guy who plays, Celebrity Juice nowadays.
Yeah, the Keith Lemon guy. Yeah,
Keith
yeah.
Lemon guy, yeah, it's him. Yeah, I think he's from Yorkshire, maybe. But yeah, the when he was Michael Jackson, he was walking around with his ass like, "What a perfect day for a moonwalk" and all that stuff, and tee hee, and like Charmaine, motherfucker, and all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I
Because that's
I mean,
kind of
I mean,
what it's becoming in pop culture, and that's kind of what I'm trying to get at here is that like he's kind of just seen as like a joke figure now. Because if obviously some people do still hold him in high esteem as that legend of music. A lot of people vilify him as a bad guy for the things that he allegedly did, but in
mm,
mainstream media, all they really do is they just treat him like a joke now, don't they?
hmm hmm I don't know. I mean, I think it's to do with the level of fame is achieved. I think anyone who gets to that degree of fame where you can't go anywhere in think about it, Michael Jackson had to have gone anywhere he went in the world, he had to be disguised. There's very few places in the world he could go and just be walking around like a normal dude showing his face,
Yeah,
especially with that face, you know.
sure.
Um, there's a couple of places according to the newspapers that he used to just chill out in. One was some random place in Ireland somewhere, and then like Saudi Arabia. I think there might have been maybe one place in South Africa, maybe. But other than that, he's just the legend, Michael Jackson, anywhere he goes. But Bruce Lee was had that same level of fame. Elvis Presley had that same level of fame. And I think when you get that level of fame, that's when you kind of you're more liable to be joked about and made into a kind of joke figure once you reach that kind of stage
I guess so, but
in
even some of
film.
those people like Bruce Lee, I mean, obviously didn't have that the kind of same cloud over his head that Michael Jackson did.
Yeah,
But I mean, Elvis, I think didn't Elvis like end up marrying an underage girl or something like that, or he was known for having underage girlfriends and stuff like that. But like, and I think he was
yeah.
even known for doing something racist as well. Not that I know off the top of my head, but like, even with all
I know
that,
what you mean. I know what you're talking about there. Apparently, I mean, we don't even know if this is true or not, but apparently, it's supposed to be a comment that was made. Um, Elvis apparently had supposed to have said, "The only thing a nigga can do for me is buy my records and shine my shoes." Now we've got no
right?
context to this. We don't know if there was a conversation. If this, we don't know if it was him that actually said it. But this is just being attributed to Elvis. So when people talk about it, that's basically what they're saying.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even that one said that we don't know that that's true or not. Then like, you can look at the stuff about him having underage girlfriends and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
like he still doesn't have that same cloud over his name. You can say Elvis's name on TV, you can big him up all you want, and he is derided to some extent because there's always the jokes about dying on the toilet and stuff like that and becoming overweight. But like beyond that, he's still kind of put on a pedestal. Whereas Michael Jackson, I feel like the mainstream media now they don't really want to touch him and they don't really want to put him on that pedestal anymore because of the allegations and stuff like that. And the only time I ever see him mentioned anyway is when he's basically being took the piss out of.
Well, do you know what I think it is? I think it's precisely because Michael was on that pedestal. Elvis kind of when Elvis started getting when he started getting fat and started doing kung fu moves and dying on the toilet, I think that gave people enough. That kind of provided the tabloids with enough material to make the jokes from. But
I suppose
the
the different
thing,
generations as well. Like Michael, everyone was
and that as well.
exposed to Michael Jackson while they were alive nowadays, weren't they? Whereas, because Elvis died so long
Yeah.
ago, like he died before me and you were alive. We know of him, but we weren't exposed to him. Whereas we were both very much exposed to Michael Jackson in his career.
hmm 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 Yeah, there is that. There is the time thing as well, and also the time that came out as well. Because who knows what Elvis would have become had he been part of the MTV generation? You know, he was like just maybe when did he die? 77, was it? 1977.
Yeah, something like
So
that. Yeah.
he was just like maybe 4 or 5 years out of the MTV period, whereas Michael Jackson basically technically began his adult solo career as an MTV superstar. So he was exposed to everybody. And don't forget, with Elvis, white people can like him, and there's black people that like him, but black people can't openly say that they like Elvis because, you know, black people freaking snatch away the black card if to say that they
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
Elvis. You know, is a white dude from down south who did black music, and a lot of white artists, you know, basically, exploited black art for themselves and got paid for it.
Yeah,
And
you can
they,
obviously
they
speak to
see
this.
they see Elvis as one of those kind of guys. I
Yeah,
don't know if he is or he isn't. I've not studied the guy. That's how they see him. But
yeah.
white
I,
and black people both look like Jackson equally.
yeah, anyone around the world could have liked Michael Jackson. And sorry, what I was going to
Yeah.
say about Elvis is obviously you can talk about this much better than I can. Is that is one thing that is really levied against Elvis is that he basically stole black music and kind of portrayed it off as his own, didn't he? And like that's one of the things that's put against him. Like I say, you could speak about it better than I could.
Well, Elvis. I mean, that song that I did, Hound Dog. Um, what's the name of the woman who did that song? It's a black woman, Mama Thornton or something like that. But she did it before him. Um, but the thing is, we never
Yeah,
really.
it's Mama
I'm never
Thornton. Yeah,
sure. Yeah. I'm never sure if it's the artist that's stealing or if it's the people behind him giving him songs and saying, "Hey, sing
sure.
this,"
Yeah, yeah.
because that did happen a lot as well. Um, so who is it that's doing the stealing? Is it Elvis or is it the people who are navigating his career for him? Um, that's one thing I want to hate Elvis, but the fact that I can't answer that question stops me from hating him. So I kind of just give him a pass for now on that one because I don't know the true thing behind where we stole from my people or not. So
Yeah.
I just leave him. I just leave him there for that one. But yeah, everyone loves Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson was a saint in the 80s. What can we really, what derisive thing can we really have against Michael Jackson now? Here we go. He's in court for fiddling kids. Let's, this will be his thing. This will be the joke that we use when we want to laugh at Michael Jackson. Um, and that's what it became, really. Because before he was just weird. Don't forget, Michael Jackson, as big as he was still weird. And as many jokes were made about him being weird, it wasn't really enough to really cut into him and deride
Yeah.
him the way people wanted to. And I think the media wanted that because the media wants that about everybody. So when these allegations popped up, I think they were like, "Ah, we've got something." So I think that's why Elvis got away with marrying a 14-year-old, and why Michael Jackson um, is still getting it in the net right now, 10 years after his death, for these allegations. I think it's just, I don't want to say witch hunt because that sounds kind of conspiracy theories, but I will say that it's just something that they wanted on him to belittle him as they belittle all celebrities,
I think
and they
you've hit
got
on
it.
something that again I'd never really considered before, but the fact that he was so weird, I suppose he was very much an easy target, and he was very soft spoken. He was very kind of
Hmm. Hmm.
childlike. He wasn't really like this big, bulking, masculine figure who you would be scared of. So I suppose anyone could look at him and kind of take a pot shot at him and feel like, this guy can't do anything to me. And I feel like that might have
Yeah,
something to do with the fact that that would make him such more of an easy target.
yeah. It was impossible to come at Michael Jackson and not feel like a bully. I mean, even his retorts made you feel bad. You know, if you said anything about Michael Jackson in the paper, like he's weird and all that kind of stuff, then let's think he'll be on TV saying,
I cannot believe you would say these things about me. It hurts. And they say that I am weird. I am not weird. I am a human being with feelings, and I feel and I will pray for you.
That's Michael Jackson's
That's
clapback.
a good impression, that.
that's that's his clapback. How can you not feel like a prick for calling him something after that? I don't. That's one thing Elvis didn't have. Elvis was just like a white dude swiveling his hips, making all the women swoon, and being rock and roll royalty. And I think basically Elvis gave the press what they needed. The press is a beast that needs to be fed, and once you give them something about you that's a joke, once you give them their joke material that they can use against you, they're satisfied. Just sit there rubbing the belly and lying back. Michael Jackson left them starving. They're looking at Michael Jackson through the gate like, oh, I could just
Mm.
eat that moonwalking son of a bitch. Oh, and he was a saint for too long. He was a childlike, innocent black saint for too long. So when this came down, when these allegations popped up, they all jumps on it now. They're like, yeah, we get to eat this motherfucker now, and they eat him. They eat him up.
They most definitely did, and I think we've come to the end of our Michael Jackson journey now. So
Mm.
before we go, is there anything else you want to throw in there? Any anecdotes, any stories that you might want to tell about your fandom of Michael Jackson? Anything that comes to mind?
Um, my family. He's partly the reason I grew my afro back. Um, I was bald headed from like 16 until maybe 30. I was bald headed for a long time,
Wow.
and um, people used to say that I looked like Tupac, and people shouting shit at me in the street, like complete strangers that I didn't know, and I was sick of it. So I just wanted to get away from all of that. Anything where people would call me Tupac. And I thought, what's really different from Tupac, a bald-headed Tupac? I know, an afro. There we go. So I've grown the afro, and so there was that. But the reason why actually chose an afro in particular, Michael Jackson rocked it. So yeah,
True.
he's had
That
an
is
effect on
one
me.
thing he absolutely did rock.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I'm always going to have a soft spot for Michael Jackson, though, no matter what the circumstances are. To be honest, that's what I feel.
No, that's fair enough, and like we said earlier on, I suppose that is the strength of being able to separate the art from the artist. But yeah,
Mm.
Righteous, thank you very, very much for coming on today. Before you head off, is there anything you want to plug?
Um, well, with COVID going on, I don't think very few people are plugging anything really. We're all stuck inside really, and unless we're key workers, in which case we'll be stuck in work and then stuck at home. Um, I don't have anything to plug. I don't know when the next time I'll have anything to plug. So I'm just gonna say, anyone out there who's isolating right now, big up yourselves, stay safe, look after your families, stay hygienic, and all you people who are not inside and isolating, do what your mum and dad used to tell you when you was a kid and get your ass in the house, you piece of shit. Or maybe that's just me.
Top man, top man. So thank you very, very much for coming on, my mate. That's been the show, everybody. Thank you very much for listening. I'll be back soon with more stuff. That's bye from me, and this is bye from Lion.
Rawr! Peace, people. Look after yourself. Thank you, Adam.